2024 was an interesting year, to say the least, when it comes to new roller coasters. Overall, the US was a little light due to some unexpected delays. Internationally, there were some good rides, but today we're going to be counting down the best roller coasters of 2024. Specifically, we want to look at the new for 2024 roller coasters that we got to experience, which actually were 17 of them across the world. I'm actually pretty impressed with how many we got to do.
So we're going to rank all 17 of them from the very bottom to the very, very top, and as you would probably expect, a good chunk of the ones at the bottom are going to be like on the lighter thrill side. Except for number 17, which was one of the worst roller coasters I've ever ridden in my entire life. That is All-American Triple Loop.
Oh, this one was a bummer. I had high hopes for this. If you go back and watch our anticipated new roller coasters of 2024 video, we actually had All-American Triple Loop somewhere in the middle because on paper you hear Schwarzkopf, 3 big vertical loops. This should have been good.
It wasn't. No. It was terrible. I think it may have improved slightly since we rode it because they got rid of the chunky over-the-shoulder restraints.
That just weren't necessary.
I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. It's uncomfortable regardless. I can get rid of it. Yeah. Here's the thing. It's new.
Yes.
Right? It's relocated.
Well, and that's the thing, is we do have to address that this is new to Indiana Beach. It has been something they've been working on for a long time, even if it was a relocation. It was in a place that probably not a lot of people got around to. It was down in Mexico City. There was an unfortunate accident. They packed it up, moved it to Indiana Beach, and it just wasn't in great shape. A lot of those transitions were really janky. I know you only did it once. I did it a couple times, and each ride, it got worse and worse the more I did it. Number 16, though, is actually a pretty good ride. It just so happens to be a clone and something that's on the lighter thrill side, which is why we place it so low. It's Snoopy's Soapbox Racers at Kings Island.
Super cute. The trains are adorable. I love if it's like a rainbow. I'm just excited that we got some family boomerangs in the U.S. It's not the only one on this list.
It turned out well. I like it. It was a great addition to Camp Snoopy. Bravo, Kings Island. I imagine that we'll be seeing more of these family boomerangs in the chain.
Number 15 on our list is arguably even more tame than the family boomerang, but we had never done anything quite like this before, and it was awesome. That's Midnight Flyer.
Yeah, this was really cute. This was another Vekoma coaster. This was their Horus model, something that we will be seeing more clones of, including the new Vedanta World is getting something like this. This is up at Santa's Village in New Hampshire. Adorable ride. It replaced Rudy's Rapid Transit, which is an old Zero coaster, and they did a nice job with it. It goes around twice if everyone gives the thumbs up.
What's a Horus?
I don't know. It's like a...
Like Horus Hears a Who?
I think it's an astro sign. Scorpio or a Horus.
That's a Taurus.
Oh. Our second family boomerang to make this list is coming in at number 14. This is Quest at Emerald Park. This is intertwined with another roller coaster that we're going to talk about later on. This is part of the new Tirna Nog section. It was really nice, and they added some thematic elements around it, so it looked good too.
Yeah, I think part of what makes it so awesome is the fact that it's intertwined with a high thrill coaster. Visually it's very, very cool. But again, it's not necessarily for our demographic, which is why it's low on the list. But if you're a kid, it's probably really, really high. Sticking with the family coaster theme, the number 13 spot on our list is going to go to Phoenix Rising at Busch Gardens Tampa.
This was B&M's first family inverted coaster in the Western Hemisphere, so we were certainly excited to try it out, see how it did, and the layout was solid. It just didn't ride super well, which unfortunately ended up being kind of a trend for the new B&M coasters this year. We certainly have some other ones coming up that I think rode even worse than Phoenix Rising, but it was okay for the park. It was better than their old Wild Mouse.
Yeah. I think I rode that thing once, very, very close to its demise, too. But I will say, it really changes that Pantopia section. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it does look a lot better. It's nice to see a new roller coaster in that section now that we also have no more Scorpion. Womp womp. So, really sad.
Yeah, we're not going to get into all the losses this year. Let's just talk about the gains, okay?
About an hour down the street from Busch Gardens is SeaWorld Orlando, and they opened up a new for 2024 roller coaster as well, also by B&M. This was Penguin Trek. This was B&M's first true family coaster of this model, where we see 2 different launches and a dark ride section.
Yeah, and the trains were new as well. The restraints were interesting, I will say.
Yep.
A little tight, but my favorite part about the ride was, weirdly enough, not the coaster section, really. It was the dark ride part. So
Yeah. I like what SeaWorld did. It was a nice attempt at theming. I still think it could have been better, but the parts that looked good did look very nice.
Tell me how you really feel. It was a nice attempt at theming.
No, it was. I mean, listen, and then when you actually get to the roller coaster portion, it It was pretty forceless.
Yeah.
And it didn't ride the greatest.
Sometimes companies will underestimate like what kids can handle as far as forces. Like I've seen like little kids riding, Big Bear Mountain, and that's got way more forces on it, and they're fine. They're happy. So B&M could definitely dial it up a little bit, because that's the trend with both this one and Phoenix Rising, that it doesn't really feel very forceful at any point. Like, not that it has to rip a little kid's face off, but just expose them a little bit to like, this is what positive G-forces feel like. This is what a little bit of negative G-forces feel like.
Yeah, I would say Phoenix Rising has a bit more positive force than Penguin Trek, but I think Penguin Trek just placed higher because it's a bit more creative.
And it's penguins.
True.
Penguins greater than phoenixes. Phoeni. Good Gravy, our number 11, was great.
It's the name of the ride.
It's Good Gravy.
Good Gravy. This is Holiday World's Family Boomerang. This is a custom layout. The first official Family Boomerang that we got in the United States. And it turned out really nice. I think the big win for this attraction was the queue. Holiday World, built a full house, and it was awesome.
And it's themed to Thanksgiving dinner. Hello?
Super niche and ridiculous, but I love it.
Yeah, that no one else will ever do that, ever. And can we just address the fact that the front of the train is a literal gravy boat?
Yeah. Holiday World, this was a big win for you guys. This was a much needed addition. I like this one a lot. Very smooth, comfortable, great for kids. So now we've made it into our top 10. And at the number 10 spot, we have a ride that is very similar to a Vekoma Family Boomerang, but it is actually not. This is from Zierer and is a dueling model. We're talking about Minifigure Speedway at Legoland Windsor.
This was surprising. I was kind of, under the impression, okay, it's just going to be like a knockoff Vekoma thing, and they're just not going to do it as well, and it's going to be whatever and forgettable, but it was actually really cool, and it felt distinctly unique.
And it's also a terrain coaster, so they built it up on this hill, so the presentation in the park was really unique, and they have the world's largest minifigure that the ride wraps around, and that was pretty cool too.
It was also really cool that it's like a proper dueling coaster. Like, it duels every time. They line it up in the station to make sure it always happens, and I think that makes it like an extra level of thrill for kids.
Yeah, race your friends. It was great.
Number 9 on this list is arguably the biggest coaster to have opened up in the United States this year, and that would be Iron Menace at Dorney Park.
Yeah, this is a B&M dive coaster. It's been a long time since Dorney Park built a new roller coaster, so this was exciting. I'm really happy that they got such a significant ride. Custom layout, no mid-course or anything, so it's just bam, 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 each element hits. It didn't ride the best. I think that's the only reason why it doesn't place higher.
There were a couple spots that were very jolty that shouldn't be there. And, for a park that hasn't gotten something new and significant in such a long time, it's kind of a bummer that it happened to them. Yeah.
If I were Dorney, I would definitely be a little upset with how it turned out. But, I think they did their best. The queue was nice. Dorney Park did a nice job with presentation and everything.
Oh, yeah. And the marketing campaign for it was lit. I was like, I am so hyped for a dive coaster right
Absolutely.
now. Let's go.
At number 8, we have another family coaster we got to talk about. This is all the way at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. Fire in the Hole. This is 2.0.
Yeah. I think that we have to give it such a high spot because of how awesome the thematics are. I mean, it's essentially like a dark ride coaster hybrid. And speaking of hybrid, it is an RMC.
It is, yeah. This is all steel using their traditional iBox track, brand new trains, onboard audio. They just brought it into the 21st century. So we said goodbye to the original Fire in the Hole. This is part of the new Fire District, and it looks really, really nice. We are definitely glad to experience this one.
I think we have to give Silver Dollar and RMC props because replacing like an old classic is sometimes like one of the most difficult things to do because people have, this nostalgic attachment to the original, and it pleased everybody from what I could gather. Like, people who grew up riding it are like, this is great.
Yes, absolutely. So, hats off to you guys.
So now that we've reached our number 7 spot, I just have to say, this is the last spot that is occupied by a currently operating U.S. roller coaster out of the whole list.
Yeah.
Number 7.
That's crazy. Yeah, internationally, we definitely had a much better lineup of new for 2024 roller coasters.
Yes, but this one was fantastic. Bobcat.
This was Gravity Group's first ever ground-up pre-cut track roller coaster. So, fully engineered prior to bringing it over to the site. It rode really well. Fun layout, very similar to Timber at Walibi Rhone Alps, another Gravity Group coaster, this one over in France. And it was a lot of fun. We're so glad the Great Escape finally got a new roller coaster.
They really deserved it. That's like a very cute park, and just the lineup is
Yeah.
So I'm glad they have this. I would say it's the best coaster in the park now.
And just barely missing the top 5 is another 2024 new UK roller coaster. We have several that made this list. This was Gold Rush, a very, very creative and fun new ride from Intamin.
Yeah, the innovation level with this is just through the roof. I mean, it literally has 2 different settings. We got to experience each one at least once. And I have to just give the park props for even going this way. You know what I mean? Like, to give Intamin the chance to come up with something like that, I think that's fantastic.
We've never really seen a ride do something like this before. I know the new Jungle Rush down at Dreamworld Australia kind of takes a similar approach. That ride did not make this list because unfortunately we have not had the opportunity to experience it. It just recently opened like less than a week ago as of when we're making this video. But still, this was a great ride. I had way more fun on it than I was expecting.
Oh my gosh, me too. I could have ridden that thing over and over and over again.
We did.
We did.
It was the only ride we rode that day, actually.
That is true. We're going to keep it in the UK for the next one. At our number 5 spot, we are giving this one to Nemesis Reborn at Alton Towers.
I love what Alton Towers did here. They also had a very tough challenge of how do you bring back a classic and reimagine it, and they just knocked it out of the park. So we got a full retrack of the original Nemesis, all new colors, they updated the thematics, and presentation was phenomenal.
I'm so impressed. That was my only experience with Nemesis. And, you know, so I don't have attachment to the old one or anything, but so just from like a clean slate point of view, that is fantastic. I already loved Alton Towers before getting to do Nemesis, and having this and getting to experience this like rounded out that park. That was already a fantastic collection of rides and thematics. Just like it brought it to a whole nother level, and I cannot wait to go back and do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick flight over from England, we have another inverted coaster that we gotta talk about. This one is not from B&M, this is from Vekoma. It's that other ride at Emerald Park that we mentioned earlier. This is Nafina Force.
I am admittedly obsessed with this ride. I think it is one of the most perfectly flowy roller coasters I've ever done. Like, I had like this weird, satisfying feeling after getting off. Like, it felt like it scratched this enthusiast itch in my brain. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, inverted coasters typically do not have airtime, and this one has a lot of it.
Yeah, it felt like skiing was like the way that I kind of described it, like do
yes.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it stays extremely low to the ground, fully custom layout, fit for this new Tirnanog section. It was glass smooth, and each of the elements hit really well, had a good mix of forces. This is a flawless ride.
This is high on the list of like, if I could bring a ride model over to like the US, like I want one of these.
Yeah.
I want it to be like this one though. Like how Zuberkoff was good, this is fantastic.
Literally clone it and bring it to the US, I'd be fine with that.
Please.
But a custom one's great too.
And at the number 3 spot, we are now going to discuss the literal elephant in the room, Top Thrill 2.
It did open in 2024.
It's undeniably, it rode.
Yeah, 8 days it was open. We were there opening weekend. We actually got to experience it 6 times.
I don't even know how that's possible.
We know that we are in the minority for that one. We're just glad that we got to do it. When it was open, it was awesome. We loved the experience. It's
amazing. Like now so much time has passed and like it's only mainly talked about in kind of like a negative light now that it's part of me has kind of forgotten like how much I really loved it until I went back and like watched the video of our first time and how excited we were about it. And it like kind of revitalized my excitement for it to come back next year. It really is fantastic. Like I loved the original. I think this is even better.
Yeah, the fact that it's a much longer ride, that spike was really, really cool. You would go freakishly high up there. And this is now the world's tallest roller coaster when it reopens. So this ride is significant in a lot of ways. Trains are very comfortable. The forces hit. The drop off of the top hat is even better than it was before. This was a big win when it was open. We're heading back to the UK for Thorpe Park and Hyperia. The new mock hyper coaster.
This thing is unbelievable. You could look at it all day just watching it cycle with how beautiful it is, how beautiful the colors are, the soundtrack that plays all over the plaza, which is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard on any roller coaster.
So good. I'm a score.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as a rider, the experience is just ethereal. It just transcends you to a new plane of existence.
Some of those elements that are incorporated on the Hyperia are sensations that you really can't get anywhere else. The first drop that rotates you 180 degrees has so much whip to it. The stall is unbelievable, sends you straight into a dive loop. The outer bank that then transitions into a rollover, wild. Absolutely wild. This thing has so much speed to it. I loved it. Best ride in the UK, for sure.
It just felt like pure bliss, just floating through it, and while simultaneously getting my face ripped off.
Yes.
Love it. At this point, the one that is remaining is probably pretty obvious to all of you, so I'll just go ahead and say it. The number one spot for 2024 roller coasters goes to Voltron.
This was a no-brainer. Europa Park needed that big standout ride, and they got it in the form of the first ever Mach Ride Striker coaster. Tons of inversions, ridiculous airtime moments, extremely long ride, and phenomenal theming. This is a full package experience.
This roller coaster does everything that you want a roller coaster to do.
I was so impressed with this thing. We just rode it like as many times as we possibly could. This ride alone makes a visit to Europa Park worth it, and then you have a world-class theme park to go along with it.
Yeah, well, my biggest complaint about Europa Park for the longest time was that it just felt like it didn't have like the it ride. Yeah. It had a lot of great rides, but it didn't have the it thrill ride, and this is it.
Yeah, if Europa Park was not on your bucket list before, it 100% should be now. Please go out and experience this thing. You will not be disappointed. And that is why it is our number one 2024 roller coaster.
And I think, if I remember correctly, when we ranked these in anticipation, I think we put Hyperia above Voltron at the time.
I think we did. I mean, Hyperia still came in at number 2.
It's close.
I mean, yeah, very close. This was the year of Mach. They killed it with the top 2. But we should acknowledge some of the rides that did not make the cut that we originally thought would be opening in 2024. So, Flash, Vertical Velocity, Six Flags Great Adventure.
Delayed.
Georgia Surfer, Six Flags Over Georgia.
Also delayed.
Twin Mill Racers and Bone Shaker at Mattel Adventure Park.
No idea what's going on there.
No idea. Thunderbolt did open. We just didn't get around to it.
We'll get there.
Circuit Breaker and Palindrome at Codaland.
Most of the way done, but no idea when.
Construction is done on Palindrome, and Circuit Breaker's like halfway built. So maybe 2025 will be the year.
I don't know.
Donkey Kong Minecart Madness at Universal Japan did open just in the nick of time. It's been open for like maybe 2 weeks as of when we're filming this.
But not when we were there, unfortunately.
No.
That sucked.
Yeah, unfortunately we missed out on this one. But, you know, we're thrilled that we were able to get on so many new for 2024 roller coasters. And it's also got me amped up for 2025.
Yeah, as much as there were a lot of good things that opened this year, like it feels like the focus on this year has been heavily on the losses, like I said earlier. So hopefully 2025 feels more positive overall, and I think it's going to be hard not to when you have a new park like Epic Universe opening, potentially Six Flags Qiddiya opening. I don't know for sure, but there's going to be a lot of new stuff, and some of these rides that were delayed are going to open, and I think it could just be like a fantastic year.
2025 is gonna be something special, so stay tuned for that most anticipated 2025 roller coasters video. They'll be coming soon here at Coaster Studios, and let us know down in the comments below what were your favorite 2024 roller coasters. If there was something that you got to experience that we did not, where would you place it? So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.